find out what they've done. And it's just in everybody's face, as we saw with this email scandal, the fact that you'd have the FBI director come out. And, of course, this is a guy who was also involved in the Whitewater whitewash, along with Loretta Lynch. FBI Director Comey was also involved in giving HSBC a pass when they got caught laundering money for drug cartels and for terrorists a second time. He and Loretta Lynch were involved in that, letting them go. So they're no stranger to letting the Clintons walk. They're no strangers to letting big banks escape prosecution. And I was just amazed, though, when he held that press conference, laid out all the felonies that she had committed, the many different times that he said that she had sent and received classified emails, and said, well, but nobody in their right mind would prosecute her, because you'd have to be crazy to try to send the Clintons to jail. They'll kill you, right? Or they'll kill your career at the very least. And then he said, oh, and don't you try this at home. Don't you think this is going to set a precedent for you? You're not going to get away with this because you're not the big guy. Are we going to live in a country like that? That is the essence of a dictatorship, of a corrupt government, where the people at the top can do anything they want, and they can flaunt it in your face. You know, we talked to Lionel about it, and of course, he kind of leans left on a lot of issues, but he is still for the rule of law. And he said it's not enough for the Clintons to violate the law. They have to do it in a way to flaunt their violation. That's the only thing they seem to get satisfaction from. I mean, many times we've talked to him about these Supreme Court decisions, which are nothing but judicial activism. We saw Ruth Bader Ginsburg come after Donald Trump and say that wade into the political field. So they've maintained this pretense in the past, and the mask has come off now. The pretense has been that the Supreme Court and the courts are legal referees. They are nothing of the sort. You understand, don't you, that they are 9 politically appointed judges. They are political activists. They don't even care what the arguments are for the rule of law. If they like a particular thing, if they like the Second Amendment, or if the right to keep and bear arms or whatever, they don't really look at the legal arguments for it. If they like gay marriage, they will say we're going to make gay marriage legal. They don't try to find a constitutional basis for it. They're very open about the fact that they don't believe that we should look at the Constitution. They think that it's an outdated document. They think that it's not relevant what the words actually say, or what the original intent was. This is what they would like for society to be. So they are judicial activists. And that's the fundamental problem that we have, is that the people on the left are judicial activists. And so we saw this with Ginsburg coming out and criticizing Donald Trump, and even the Washington Post, which has thoroughly lost its credibility this election cycle. I mean, it has in the past been very obviously left-leaning, but now they're not even trying to even keep a pretense of objectivity. Even they came out and said she's gone too far. And she even apologized after a couple of days for speaking her mind, for taking the mask off, because they have to try to keep up the pretense that they are legal referees when they are really just judicial activists. And that's one of the fundamental issues that the American public needs to get its head around, is that we do not have a system of government that even remotely reflects the Constitution. We've had the elected representatives that we have in Congress turn over power to the president, turn over power to the Supreme Court, and mostly turn over power to an unelected, unaccountable bureaucracy that writes our laws, sets the penalties, makes them draconian, and says it doesn't matter, you don't get any due process because this is a civil action. It's not a criminal action, so you don't get your day in court. That's what we have today. We have an out-of-control bureaucracy. We have allowed this to happen. And as I'm looking at this Turkish coup that's going on, and I see the European Union foreign policy chief warn Turkey, this is no reason to abandon the rule of law. Do they need to have a reason to abandon the rule of law? Apparently not in the United States, not even in Europe. And so we're going to come back. When we come back, we're going to talk to our reporters, as well as take a look at some developments that came out of this attack in Nice.
One-stop shop for the highest quality body armor.